Era. Oh, yes, y'all. That was Peter Jackson, track featuring Joel Ortiz and Showtime, produced by the big homie, Young K.
What's good, y'all?
He's in the building right now
here
with us. Yes.
We're live.
CFRU Studios, man. Thanks for coming through.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. I'm so excited.
It's good, man. Producer segment. We never really get a chance to do the producers interviews much, and I feel like that's so important. Is like people got to understand a song can't happen without the beat.
Yeah, it's so true. And like a lot of times I get artists come back to me and tell me like, if it wasn't for that track, I wouldn't have had inspiration to write this record.
Exactly.
And things of that nature. But I mean, like, being a producer, it's kind of good to get a little bit of like the back spotlight sometimes, because to be an artist, you got to be, the grind is crazy, man. It's just crazy out there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can be a little bit more chill on the beat side.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like out there all the time.
But hey, it's a hustle in its own, but...
Yeah, for sure. But man, you've done so much for yourself, come a long way. I know me and you have been working together for got to be like 10 plus years now. Yeah. Long time. And, you've, since the first CD I think I ever released, had some Young K beats on it. And ever since then, every single CD since has had some Young K beats on it.
That's exactly what it's about right there too. Growing these relationships and, like building these careers together. Like that's what it's all about. I love that. I love working with artists and revisiting new projects with them and trying to like build a vision together. Like I'm big on that, and obviously we have that great working relationship, and man, we got a bunch of bangers out of it, right?
Definitely. lots of dope tracks. I know the next album that I'm working on, Stay Grounded's got a few gems on it that you produced. Actually, we just did the interview with Reef the Lost Cause. He's going to be featured on one of the tracks on the album that you produced as well. It's called Be Myself, features Nameless as well from Acton.
Yeah, shout out to Nameless, shout out to Acton, man. That's my hometown right there.
Definitely holding it down for the hometown. Yep. A-Town, stand up. Act on music. That's what's good. Yes, y'all.
Yep.
But yeah, man, come a long way. I know just some of the first records, some of the first big names that you landed, you know what I mean? You're just like, I just produced for this guy, just produced for this, J Rise and D Pride, obviously, Peter Jackson there, and, got tons of great placements on albums and stuff. What's it kind of been like for you doing the journey from, just making beats in your basement and then kind of like building up to being able to work with some of the people that you grew up listening to?
Yeah, a lot of surprises. The power of the internet is great.
Yeah.
It just started with like, I honestly got a Facebook page just for music, just to purely promote music. And I started out hitting up artists, like I hit up JD Era and a couple other artists from the city, and just kind of started there, and it just grew into this like crazy experience that I've been on this journey for now like 10 years, like you said. And it just started from like grinding out in the basement, late nights, like just trying to find out what my sound was going to be like and piecing together records and stuff of that nature. And just like it's been unbelievable, man. Like I can't even believe how far I've came. Like it's just been great, and like getting to work with artists like like even like the Princeys that are like someone from the States, and I got shot Stimula out of that as well, and I've worked with him since. So it's been great, man. Just like building relationships has been like the biggest thing for me, and just making sure I network and stay on top of my business and make fire at the end of the day. Without the fire, it's nothing, right? So
that's true, and you work hard at it. You know what I mean? No artist out there that's getting anywhere can just say they're doing it off of just purely I'm good at it. You know what I mean? You gotta really work at it and stick to it. I'm sure you spent late hours in front of that computer screen
mad
grinding.
At my computer sometimes. But that's what it's all about. Like if I didn't want it, I wouldn't be where I was. That's the one thing I can say for sure. Because like the first year I tried to produce, like I just couldn't even get anything together. Like I just couldn't do it. I actually stopped. The whole reason why I wanted to produce is because I was a rapper at the time, and I wanted to have my own records. Mm-hmm. Couldn't do it. Revisited it like a year later and just said, you know what? Like I really want to do this. I'm gonna do this until I'm good at it. And then that's when I just like fell in love and was like, rap's not for me. This is what I want to do. This is my part of the business right here, and just like went from there. It's been crazy. Yeah.
For sure. Because I remember back in the day when we first started working together, I did a little bit of production. I was rapping. You were producing and rapping a little bit, and then you stopped rapping completely, and I stopped producing completely, and we just like stuck with what we were, what we loved and what we were good at it, and it's worked out for sure.
And it's like now we can work together still, but in like a different kind of capacity. You know what I mean? It's just
definitely
crazy. I love it.
It's dope. One thing I really wanted to touch on is just for other producers that are listening and stuff like that, how you were able to transition and get to that next level of reaching out and getting good placements on other people's albums. You know what I mean? Getting getting the networking side of things going. There's a few, I think, key specific ways of going out, approaching another artist as a producer, because I get approached by producers constantly on Facebook now with the internet and stuff. Every single day, some producer is sending me new beats to check out and asking me, this and that. And I'll work with some, but very, very few, because I'm used to working with people that I've got a good established relationship with, but it's all in making that relationship happen at the beginning. Yeah. So how do you actually go about making that relationship happen and turn it into something that has some longevity?
I always just kind of I don't boast. I'm a humble guy. I just approach and I just say, I'm a producer. I'm an upcoming producer. I'll maybe say a couple bigger artists I've worked with. I might say I've worked with Deep Pride, or I might say I've worked with Joel Ortiz. Just quick and short, and just say I'd love the opportunity to send you music, because at the end of the day, without the rapper, it's the same way. A producer's nobody without the rapper as well. And I think some producers kind of forget that and get caught in without the beat, there's no rap. But it's the other way around too. So I think it's all about just approaching people the right way and not being pushy with your music. If they don't respond back to you in the first day or two, don't just be yo, you check those beats, you know what I mean? Because people are busy and artists got to grind, right? So I think just there's a certain way to approach people. I think meeting people face-to-face helps as well, too. Get out to the shows, you know what I mean? Network. I used USBs early on, and I always got great response from that. It's a little bit of an investment, obviously, but that way it's they can put it in any computer, any studio they work in. They can take that USB, and if they're stuck in the studio and don't have any beats, they might get lucky like that. I've had records placed as simple as that, you know what I mean? Just
that's
having my
smart.
music as many places as I can, and just staying on top of it, man. It's all just about creating unique ideas to make yourself different and to make yourself stand out. Because like you said, you get hit with so many emails a day. What's going to make them like your music? What's going to make them like you? So you got to have the style behind the networking as well.
For sure. I like that, though, having the USB keys.
That's a good tip.
To hand out. That's very, very good, because I know for myself as an artist, there are times where I'm in the studio and I'm just I wish I had some more beats, you know what I mean? Or I just want some more inspiration, and like that artist had said to you before, the inspiration comes a lot from the beat, you know what I mean? As soon as that beat comes on, it already has the song in it.
Yeah.
You just gotta find it.
Yeah.
And put it down. So man, it's good to have that accessible, you know what I mean? Give USB. Perfect, especially for bigger artists and stuff like that, too.
You just do a little notepad with your information on it, your email, and then that way, if they don't remember who gave them the USB, everything's
it's right in there.
And just tag your beats.
So smart.
Yeah, not I don't mean a tag like a Young K Productions tag. Just in the title, just put your email or something. Just little tricks like that will help you, because sometimes someone might like your beat, but they just don't remember who you sent it to. So you got to be with new artists, you got to make sure that your name's on everything, or a way to contact.
That's super smart, having your email right in the actual title name. Yeah. That's so key. Producers, I hope you're listening, picking up on these tips.
Those are some tricks right there.
That's the little tricks of the trades there. You know what I mean? That's how you get paid. That's how you get some money for your beats. You getting them out there. I know there's a lot of different internet websites and stuff like that. Shadowville and stuff like that, groups of producers where they can kind of conglomerate together, put their beats up on a website and be able to lease them and sell them to different artists. Have you been in the talks with any other producers in creating some sort of online platform, or creating some sort of group where you guys can all sort of benefit off of each other's artists?
It's cool. Personally, I've always kind of wanted to do that. If I'm ever in a position where I feel like I can contribute significantly to other producers' careers that I believe in, I would definitely be into that. And vice versa, obviously, the networking kind of thing. Or I've collaborated with a couple producers before. Beatty's one of the first guys I collaborated with. He's an old producer, a friend of mine, and I love him to death. Shout out to Beatty.
Shout out to Beatty.
And I also co-produced with a guy named Yogi, the producer, who does a lot of KO's work. He's signed the Classifieds label Half-Life, so shout out to them too. And it's a great experience, and I think you get to see your music in a new light, because when you do it so alone all the time, and you're in your basement or you're in your studio and you're doing your own thing, sometimes you can get lost in the music, and it's someone else's perspective that does the same thing as you can be why don't we do it like this? And that can make the record so much better. So I've always been big on collaborating, but I haven't had too many opportunities to do it as much as I would have liked to. But I'm all for working together. It's like a community. Producers are a community. Any producer that hits me up on Facebook, it might not be right away, but I make sure I always reply to them. Any questions they have, I listen to people's music. Send me your music. I'm super cool about that kind of stuff, because if people didn't do that for me when I was on the come up, or when I didn't know how to mix a record correctly, I would have never got where I was either. So it's all about helping the other producers that want that help and have a respect for your music, and just growing a network together like that, I think.
Yeah, that's key. That's key. I would love to see that, though. I know, like, there's so many rap crews, you know what I mean? Like Slaughterhouse, or so like, true. You know, Swollen Members or whatever, different crews, you know, that get together of just artists that are really good together. I never see a producer crew.
Yeah, so true. Like,
how
dope would that be?
That's something that needs to happen.
Yeah,
it would be so crazy to get, like, 4 top producers in Canada on like a super producer tip,
or just do like a whole album with those 4 producers collaboratively working,
and they work together,
together kind of thing. That'd be so dope.
So yeah, and that's exactly like even what you're saying about producing with Yogi there. You know what I mean? I'm sure working with him is what helps get your placements on KO's CD, right?
Yeah.
You were on you produced the intro track for The Great Escape, right?
Yeah, that was my actual first placement with with KO there, and then from there I got to like work with Yogi a lot because KO just sent me to him. He's like, send your files to Yogi, and that's actually when I was introduced to Yogi, and then from there we got to like open and pick each other's brains a little bit and go from there and make some of the records you heard, like Bring Me Down, which is like one of my favorite records I ever did.
Huge.
So
I love that song, bro.
Right?
I play that all the time on here. It's a really, really good song.
Yeah. Thank you about that. Yeah, shout out to KO, man. Like, he's one of my favorite artists I work with, and I love his escape movement and the whole thing he's got going on there, and like I'm very privileged to be able to, you know, work with him, and shout outs to him because I got some more work with him coming soon. So, you know, hopefully in the next couple months you'll hear some more stuff from us, and Yogi's in the mix as well. So
nice.
It's gonna be great. Yeah,
nice. That's good. And then keeping the ball rolling with these artists. How are you able to? I know just even for myself when I deal with you, you're really good at following up.
I try to be. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Super important.
And a lot of producers out there that I've worked with in the past that don't have that same follow-up technique, you know what I mean? I think they don't get as much business from me as you do because they don't. That's something that is really key. Yeah, communication is really key. So if you can speak on the importance of just like, you know, making sure that once you have that connection established, you can continue, you know, quote unquote milking it, you know what I mean, and keep it going, you know, and keep the bread flowing from that. Like how do you work that follow up?
Just don't look at these people as just artists. Don't look at these people like that's just one aspect of their lives. These guys have lives too, and when they need their stuff, they need their stuff. You know what I mean? And just like respecting the artist is, I think, so key. A lot of producers kind of like get lost in the wind when they've like gotten one big placement and then like their homie they've been working with for 5 years they don't want to respond too quickly and stuff like that. And I'm not into that, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like
so key.
Yeah, like, and like these people's projects matter, and these people's projects are like things I'm proud of, things I'll be able to, like, you know what I mean, like show my kids one day if I have kids, you know what I mean, things of that nature. And it's just about respecting your own work too. Like, be on top of this is your own business. Treat it like a business. Like, that's what I've always done from the start. And just like, you know, if you don't have the business side of your etiquette, then it's like, you know, what are you really doing? You need to have that as well. You can't just be a producer and not take care of the business and not get these artists their files and make sure that, you know, you got like everything written down and you know what's going where. It's you know, like it's tedious, but I mean it's part of the business and you need to do that.
Definitely staying on point. You know what I mean, hitting people back with mixes quickly and stuff like that, or any requests that they need, changes in beats and stuff like that.
And like, don't charge for changes, man. I know some of these producers out here try to charge for changes. I mean, like, that's not part of the business. Like, for me, it's not. If you work with me,
you're making a beat that you want the artist to like, right? And if there's something that they want changed in the beat, you know, accommodate that. And it's not that hard to do that. You know, drop out an instrument here, add a little bit of spice there. I know even for some of the beats that I've had you spice up, even on the last album, the Ripple Effect, with the intro.
Oh, that was a fun one to do.
Give it a little bit more pow in your face, right?
And sometimes it's for the better of the record too, and a lot of times it is.
Definitely. It made a big difference, man. I did that track opening for Rakim the other week, and somebody posted the footage from it.
I saw that, actually.
I watched it. I was just like, oh, that's cool. That sounds
so
good.
Crazy,
that's a young
right?
K beat in the speaker.
I love that, and I love like experiencing things with like people like you and Nameless, who I've worked with for such a long time. It's like the most rewarding because it's like we literally started together, and to see us all do our own thing and like me still be able to be a part of your movement and vice versa. It's like, that's what it's all about, man. Like, growing together and really making a movement in Canada, because it's people sleep here and I don't know why. Like, it still boggles my mind to this day, but like the amount of talent that's out here is just ridiculous. It's, you know, we need to form together and stop the screw face stuff, you know?
Definitely. It's unity, really helps out. I know when I was doing the interview last week with Freeway, that was one thing that he really spoke on with the Philadelphia scene. Something that has helped them out there is like artists being more open to working with each other and networking and having this person on my project, I'm on your project, vice versa, all around in the industry, and that really strengthens and unifies the whole
entire
area.
Scene.
The entire scene. So Canada, I think we're getting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing that I think is really good with Canada is we don't really have too many crazy rap beefs.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's a great thing about Canadian
Straight
hip-hop.
up. There's no real... We can't think of any huge rap beefs that were Canadian. Like, I think... Never.
There's been a few, but like nothing that's been like monumental. You know what I mean? Like just
like with big diss tracks back and forth and stuff like that. No,
it's good for that, and it's true. It's a very good way of looking at it. People are more just like, oh, I don't want to work with him because I'm better, But I mean, hey, that's part of the game. Some people have the ego thing going for them, but
ego.
Overall, you're correct. Like I love the scene out here. I just wish it was it's gonna grow. I'm just waiting for it to grow. I'm all about the growth, and like I want to take over Canada. Like obviously, I've done things with a lot of American artists, but like my main project is Canada. Like because there's just so much talent out here. I feel like I could really build a niche out here, and like I just like Canadian pride, man. Like I wanna be big out here first.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I know, it's all about the networking and getting across different places, even getting that placement on Jacqueline G's last project, man. With the Dreams joint.
Oh, man.
Stack the Ripper and Mercules on that.
Oh, my God.
That track is so fire. I play it all the time on here. It's so good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites I think I've ever done. Completely. That's one of my favorites. And like shout out to Jacqueline, like she was amazing to work with, and I think I did about 4 or 5 records on that entire project. I did about half of it. And that was big for me. And like like you said, like they're from Vancouver, and to be able to reach them from Acton, from Guelph, it's just like it's amazing. It's a really amazing thing. And like, I've got another record with Mercules done since then, so it opened more doors for me as well, and that's what it's all about. Shout outs to Jacqueline G, shout outs to Mercules and Snack for, always holding it down, doing the thing.
Definitely. That's what's up, man. Yeah. That's what's up. I love that. I love that connection stuff, because I got a chance to, when we toured this last time, I pulled Jacqueline aside for a little bit, and we just like got a chance to talk and build on the relationship that you guys have created and stuff. And she's like, yeah, like thanks. You know what I mean?
Nice. I gotta thank you, because you were like, man, this Jacqueline girl, you gotta check her out. And I did right away, and I was like, just like you, like blown away by how talented she was, and just was like, man, I know what I could do for her. I knew I could implement my sound into her project.
Kill it. You did that Beautiful Rain one too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Which is
that's a huge. It's got a video. It's out there. Check that out online.
Yeah, Jacqueline G, Beautiful Rain. Check that one out.
It's a good one.
That's like one of my girlfriend's favorite songs I ever did.
Word up. Shout outs to the girls out there, the other significant others, the other half of us that keep us moving, right?
Yeah, completely.
Definitely. That's what's good, man. Word up. So now let's get a little bit more into the technical side of things as far as production goes. What are some of the programs that you use frequently or that you're really comfortable with, and why?
My big two, and mostly just because I started on them, are Cool Edit Pro, which is like super old school. Like it got converted into Adobe now, but I still use
Cool Edit's better than Adobe. Yeah, it's so better. 100%. I don't know why.
So Cool Edit's my thing. That's where I'll chop my samples and such. And then FL Studio, but I use 8. I think they're at like 12 or 11 now, but like 8, I don't know. It just felt right to me. And I tried to go to 9 the following year, and they mixed like all their like mastering stuff up, and it didn't have that same feeling that I was looking for. So I stuck with 8. And so FL Studio 8's my thing, and Cool Edit. So I'm a little bit old school.
Hey man, that's me, bro. That's how I roll. I'm just getting into learning a little bit about Logic.
Nice.
Relic's got me learning some mastering skills in there, but like I'm stuck on. I do all my recording through Cool Edit, and and the majority of my mixing and stuff too. From the past, like every project that is out there.
Yeah,
that
you can get quality out of it,
Edit.
like completely. It's a fantastic program, Cool Edit.
What I think is amazing is how truly it's not what you have, it's what you can do with it.
It's completely
because what I can do with a Cool Edit mix in comparison to like some other people that are recording and mixing through Cool Edit is like night and day.
It's so true. Yeah, and I find that with FL Studio too. It's the same kind of way. Like I listen to some other producers mixes they get out of FL Studio, and it just sounds completely different to mine, and it's all about implementing your style and really knowing the logic behind what you're trying to do. And I know you know your stuff with the mixing. That's where I want to get next. I know how to mix and master my beats, but I want to learn how to do like the vocal side of things.
The whole thing, yeah. It's hard, man.
I know.
And it's so tedious. But once you're used to staring at a computer screen and looking at files.
And listening to the same thing for like 3 hours. And
Exactly. So you know what that's all about.
Yeah.
One thing I know, speaking on that longevity of working on a beat, Big Pops, in Toronto there. I remember there's a studio that he was working at there, and I was in there recording a couple of songs, and he was just working on a few beats, like for bigger name artists that he was working on. He's like, I'm making this for this person and that person. I was like, what? Like,
Big Pops
just in this little thing, just like rocking his hat, and he's just like listening to the same beat like over and over and over again. I think I was there for the whole day, and I think I spent the night and was there the next day too, and like for the whole 2 days that I was there, he was working on one beat.
Yeah, it can be like that.
He's like, bro, he's like, I spend like 20-40 hours on a beat sometimes.
That's crazy, man.
I'm just like, what? Like 20-40 hours on a beat? That's crazy. But like when he was done with it, I was just like, from the first time I had heard it to like the final product was bananas.
Yeah,
like you can take a beat to like the whole other dimension when you really sit there and spend quality amount of time at it and like tweaking every little thing, and then like sitting there listening to it back. Oh, maybe it could use a little bit of this, or maybe it could use a little bit of that, and then and maybe it doesn't need a little bit of this or a little taking out
exactly.
stuff.
No, taking out's a big thing for sure.
Yeah, a lot of producers, I'm sure, layer a lot of things and layer this and layer that, and then all of a sudden they're like, where did the beat go? It got all jumbled up, right?
Yeah, that used to be like one of my biggest problems when I was learning about layering drums and stuff like that is, what's too much? When's the point where you've done too much now and you've lost the element of the record? So, like back in the day, I used to do things like, I'm going to start this beat and I'm going to finish this beat. And it's not so much like that for me anymore. I've kind of taken that out of it and been more open to revisiting beats and adding things at different times because, you can hear from a different light. If you listen to the same beat for like 4 hours in a row, it's going to lose some of the elements that you heard at the start. Mm-hmm. So like I find that actually spending more time on records is a big thing that's like, as I developed as a producer, it's been like a thing that's reoccurred more often. Like now, like there's no way I could do a beat under 3 hours today. And like when I started producing, I could do a beat in 40 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's just because like I had a certain way of doing things, and that's all I knew how to do. Now that I've done so many different types of records and like dubstep influenced stuff or like rock stuff, hip hop stuff, R&B stuff, you learn to take pieces from all the different genres and kind of like be like, where can I add this? And like Bring Me Down's like a great example of that, because that's actually like a really like dubstep influenced record. I don't know if a lot of people recognize it, because like the end is on the album version is actually about like 45 seconds, and it's just like a dubstep rip that's not in the video. But like I think it's just about like knowing your craft and really studying your records and making sure that it's all it can be before you send it out. I think a lot of producers get a little anxious sometimes. They can hear the record coming together and they don't put enough into it. And like Pops is the guy that you can tell by listening to his music that he's a perfectionist, and that's something I strive for too. I've never done 40 hours, but but I mean, I know I've put in countless hours completely for sure.
That's dope, man. It's hard being able to piece together a project or what you want inside your mind and turn it into something that's musical. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know as an artist writing stuff, it's just as difficult. And working with different artists, I know Molly Gruesome talks about this a lot. Is just like she's like, I need to find a producer that she's like, there's a certain type of beat that I want. And she's like, I can't find it anywhere. She's like, I want to become a producer so that I can make my own beat, exactly what I'm trying to make that's in my brain, right? She's like, it's just not happening right now. Maybe she just hasn't found the exact right producer to work with. But like, it's interesting being able, like, how do you find that? How do you find that sound that you're looking for?
It's tough. Like sometimes it goes great and you really see the vision from the start, and sometimes you can get kind of overwhelmed. Like a guy that I've done a lot of custom work for is a guy named Princey, and it's tough because he's trying to relay his vision to you as best he can, and you're trying to create that for him. So like it's a struggle, but I mean, when you get it done, it's like those are the most rewarding records that you can do. Yeah. Like stuff like The Brain came from that. Like that was like probably like a 20-hour session throughout a week because we kept going back and like we want this to sound like this, or we want the drums to drop here, and certain things of that nature. But I mean, it overall, like, it always helps the record, I find, to really go back and sort through all the chaos, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure you probably notice a big difference in artists and their level of commitment towards their project when they start coming back with revisions and they're like, actually, you know what, I drop this little thing out, or I got this little thing I want to add in here, and that kind of stuff. You can kind of get a vibe. You're like, okay, this guy, he's going to do something with this song.
It's better to be, like, care. I like people who are more hands-on, because it makes my job easier too, because if they can relay to me what they want, then I can, create that and make that sound the best for the record. And that's really a producer's job, is taking the artist's vision and making it real. So, like, at the end of the day, like, if you can't really do that, then maybe it's not the business for you. But I mean, it's just a skill you got to acquire, and it just comes from doing it over and over and over again. And like, a trick a lot of producers use is like trying to recreate records that they like, that they found, just to like see if they can make a certain sound. You know what I mean? And it's a good trick, and references always help, but it's all about just, practice, man. If you practice on your craft, you'll be good at delivering what the artist wants.
Definitely. What speaking on that, what are some of your influences, the people that you've listened to and dissected their beats and learned from? Who are some of the producers in the game right now, currently, and ones previous that you've really attached to? The
definite number one for me, the biggest guy for me, has always been Ninth Wonder. Always loved his beats, loved what he did with soul records. I loved how he could make a vocal beat, and when you hear the song, you don't really even notice it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I loved that about his music. I loved how he chopped his drums. So he's like my number one big time guy. I also love Just Blaze. Like, he's big for me, like, as far as like influence goes, and what he could do with like his drums and his soul samples. And Kanye West obviously is a big one for a lot of producers. He's one of my top guys. Dr. Dre, obviously, you can't not mention Dre, and DJ Premier. I like the soul stuff the most. Like, but as far as like more like new current guys, like, I love Boy Wonder stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I love T Minus's work. Like, those are a couple like big Canadian producers. Rich Kid, I think, is like phenomenal. Mm-hmm. He's like one of my favorite producers for sure. Big Pops, like guys like that. Like, I'm really into the Canadian scene now. You know what I mean? And trying to reach that level where it's like, it's still hip hop, but it's got like this like new like commercial side to it. I'm trying to find the middle, but you know what I mean? It's all about just like implementing your style and taking what you can learn from these producers and what you can learn from just listening to other people's works and be like, you know what, maybe I can try something similar to that, or like, what can I do with that sound? And just, like, it's all about, hip hop's all recycling. It's all about recycling and taking what you learn and making it something new and fresh. It's always been about that. So that's big for me.
I like what you're saying there about how you can trying to take more soulful sound and making it like a commercial, something that people are going to listen to. And that was something that Reef was talking about a little bit in the interview, was just how much a beat, and he's like he referred to it as medicine in the candy, is you can't just give them the medicine, just like the good conscious lyrics and stuff like that. You have to give them the candy too, which is that kind of like fun beat so real, to make people kind of like bounce around and okay, this is nice. You know,
that's a great way of putting it, actually.
So the medicine in the candy, and I think this is something that a lot of artists, even myself, strive to really get. You know what I mean? We want to be on the radio, some of us. We want to be able to. We want to be able to get heard, and I think for any MC making music, even producers, like, one of your main reasons of doing it is that you want people to hear it. You know what I mean? What is the point of making it if your friends are if no one's listening, right? So it's getting people to hear it, and we know how the industry is. We know that pop music is selling way more than anything else, and the real true hip hop that's got good messages and stuff is kind of like shoved down to the wayside. So it's interesting trying to be able to find that marriage of getting a beat that has that pop appeal to it, has the commercial feel to it, but then you can still make the lyrics a little bit meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. It's really hard, and I feel like it's something that's pretty big in Canada right now, and in the whole industry is you see music go through cycles, and we were like all the way pop there for a while, and I feel like now it's kind of like with the Kendrick Lamars coming in and the J. Coles and these artists that are like actually producing that sound fairly well and still having a commercial impact, and the guys like Drake, obviously, I feel like it's growing and it's becoming more of like a new sound of hip hop that everybody can enjoy. It's like, you know, if you like the commercial stuff, you'll find that in that music, but it's still going to have a message, or it's still going to have that soul that I feel like music really needs, man. I feel like it's such an important element to have in your music.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing I wanted to touch on, soul and getting the actual feel in the instruments. Now, I work a lot with Moko Only, as you know.
Absolutely.
And just seeing his production style and how he does everything's like analog, like old school, you know, strumming the guitar and playing the bongos or whatever, like adding that actual feel into the beat by utilizing real life instruments and stuff like that, and actually laying down drums or laying down guitar riffs and pianos and stuff like that. How do you feel that music has changed from the era where it was all, you know, made from real instruments into now a more digital age where a lot of these sounds are synthesized and run through compressors and all sorts of crazy digital effects added to it, so it kind of loses that actual feel when the guitar player strummed that guitar and put the emotion into the strum and like felt that energy as they were playing it, you know what I mean? What are your thoughts on the digital change?
It's super tough. Like, that's something it's kind of hard for me as a producer personally, because you're completely right. Like, I've been working on my composure a lot, and like I've gotten to a point where I love composing music, but it is still hard because it's, you know, I'm doing it off of contact or like, you know, like native instruments. So as good as those VSTs are, you just can't capture that same sound. So it's tough, because that's why I find like a lot of my like passion, a lot of my great beats comes from sampling those old 70s, 60s records, because
they have it.
They had it. It's in there. And I think that's where like a lot of like that is hip hop to me. You know what I mean? Like finding that feeling and then integrating it into something else that can relate to us now, today. And you know, it's tough, but you can still achieve it with VSTs and stuff. But I feel like like there's nothing like the originals, man. You can't implement what they were able to do back then.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And even, what do you think is the difference as far as from a listening perspective when you get a CD or pop a vinyl on or cassette tape or stuff like that? You know what I mean? Like, your ears are probably more tuned in than the average person. Like, do you feel like the music quality has dulled down a little bit now with like really compressed MP3s and, you know, not really having that good quality crisp sound that we used to get from like a vinyl? Well,
like, the thing is, there's a lot of do-it-yourself going on too, which makes kind of like the music industry suffer, because you can find all these, like, even if it's like a Drake song, sometimes you can find like an unmixed version of the same song. And for me, like, personally, I can tell right away. I can tell the difference between the two. So I find like those records that you put on, like, that's like off the vinyl or like the cassettes, like, it's just more of an organic feeling, and you know, like, you know where it came from, instead of like listening to some of the newer stuff and you're like, oh, this is just like a little like dubstep riff and like a bass line that was programmed. You know what I mean? It's just not, and maybe that's just because I know how they do it. It's harder for me to like get more into some of the newer types of music, but I can feel it. You can definitely feel it. And there's nothing like, my big thing sometimes is like, I'm huge on, like, I love cleaning my studio before I make a beat. And it's so weird, but like what I'll do is I'll put on maybe like 4 or 5 samples I've been sitting on, and I'll play just the soul records, and I'll clean my apartment or wherever I'm producing at the time, and then I'll just take it in and listen, and like that's like my prep for like whenever I sit down and make a beat. And then I'll sit down, and whatever one stood out to me most is like I'll tackle that. And like that's a good way for me to like get in the zone and like still have that, like, I feel like you should always listen to your samples, know your samples, like get to know the music before you tackle the record, because you never know, there might be something else that inspires you in the song that you haven't checked out. And I find like that used to be a big problem with me early on in the day, is I would like hear the first 10 seconds of a record and just be like, man, like, and just go in on that. But I'm big on you got to listen to the whole thing. You got to like there's nothing like off the vinyl. Nothing like it.
Yeah, and you can capture that feeling. It's got feeling in it. And when you listen to music, you know what I mean? As I was saying before, when that Head Up track was on with Peter Jackson, gave me goosebumps, always gives me goosebumps. I get tingles all over, and it actually sparks a reaction inside of me physically and like genetically or molecularly or something.
Music's powerful.
It does some trippy thing. And I like we need that.
And that's what it's all about. And a lot of times when I hear the sample I'm going to use, or like when I've put in maybe even just like 20 minutes into my beat, I'll get that feeling where I'm like, now I know what this is going to be. And I love that. I love like, and I heard Ninth Wonder say it like years ago where he was like, when I hear the sample, I know exactly what I'm going to do with it already. And like, I just couldn't relate to that at that time, but now I'm in a part in my career where that's like definitely like my go-to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where I can bring this. I know what I can add to this to make this sound better or sound like my stuff, you know what I mean? And it's so huge for me, man.
It's big. Yeah. It's big. You got your own style, man. You've got it. You've been going with it for a minute. You know, signature Young K drums. Yeah. You know, you got those like. You got it. Yeah. You got it going on. You know what I mean? And I love working with you, bro. You got some great beats. Keep pumping them out, man.
Thank you, man.
Inspiring the younger generation of producers up in here. And I would love to try and somehow spearhead a producer conglomerate. You know what I mean?
I'm in.
Somehow, I don't know. I got to talk to some guys. I know enough good producers in Canada that we should definitely try and make it happen. Just like a little 4, 5, 6 guys or whatever that are like all super top dudes. Yeah. Make it happen.
Man. Absolutely.
Word up. Awesome. Well, much respect for coming in, taking the time to do the interview here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, man. Like, thank you for everything. It's just crazy to me to be sitting on a radio station with you. Like, after all these years, it's just like there's nothing like it.
It's cool, man. Yeah, it's cool. Word up. Much respects, man. We got video here too. Got the homie Drew in the building taking video. So
yeah, shout out to my homie Drew.
Pop that up online and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll share that.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Word up. Much respects, man. We're going to play another one of the records that you produced, one of the ones that we were talking about here, this KO. Don't Bring Me Down.
Oh, my favorite.
Let's do it right here. CFRU 93.3. This right here is a beat produced by the man that you're hearing on the radio, Young K. You can get at him. Your email, Young K.
Production@gmail.com. My Twitter is /YoungKBeats. And my Facebook is Kevin Young K Holder. So get at me, guys.
Hit him up. If you're an artist and you're looking for dope beats, he's the man for him. All right, here you go. KO, Don't Bring Me Down, man. Word up.